Hello, everyone. It's Friday. So you know what that means. It means having fun. It means going out tonight. It means it's Fireside Friday. Yay. And I have with me a very, very special guest to help me out while we stress out over our upcoming drafts. Kevin, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone? Tell them where they can find your work.
You can find me on Twitter at Tompkins. You can also find me with Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life newsletter as well as Fantasy Alarm. Doing a lot of stuff at both places, especially coming up. We're obviously 5 days a week on the newsletter, and then just a lot of stuff doing target analysis every week for Fantasy Alarm as well. So doing a lot of stuff, of course, Lightning Round podcast as well with Andrew Cooper and Britt Flynn every Wednesday night.
Wow. So now that the podcast is done, or my show is done with all the places that you're at, thanks a lot. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a good weekend. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So Kevin's going to help me out today. Like I said, we're going to talk about draft strategies, different players that we're targeting, different players that we're avoiding, because, we all have those guys that we have to have and those guys that we're like, oh, I am not taking him at all. Before we get into that, though, for anyone who is new to this Fireside Friday or doesn't know who I am Lauren Carpenter. You can find me at Stepmom Lauren on social media. You can also find me on my website, which is stepmomlauren.com. I work for the Fantasy Footballers, Fantasy Pros, NBC Sports Edge, or Roto World. I don't know which one it's called now. And FTN, which is exciting. Also a partner with Underdog Fantasy. And before we get started on all of those things, I do have a couple tidbits that I need to, address before we get down to the meat and potatoes. But I'm still giving away a signed DeAndre Swift mini helmet, everybody. This is still up for grabs. This is my August giveaway. And hopefully, if all goes well, I will be continuing giveaways throughout the football season. But to get into the contest, it's very easy to do. All you need to do is either like and retweet or share this video, not like another random tweet. This video that's on right now, which is on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. If you've already done that, go ahead and sign up for my website, stepmomlauren.com. There's a subscribe button up there. It is totally free. And then my content that I do for all of my different networks goes straight to your inbox. So you don't miss a thing, because I do a lot of stuff around with a lot of different outfits, as I called them once. Actually, I think that was on Howard Bender's Fantasy Alarm when he was interviewing me after the Kings Classic, and I wasn't flustered at all. That was terrifying. Another way that you can do it, everyone, sign up for Underdog Fantasy if you have not already done so. And if you use the promo code SML, like Stepmom Lauren, so use the promo code SML, you get your first deposit up to $100 matched, free money. Underdog is the best. Best ball tournaments galore right now, then in-season weekly tournaments, weekly matchups, play against your friends, play against other people, and they have pick'ems. It's really, really fun. SML gets your first deposit matched up to $100. And also recently added to FTN, been working with them now for a couple of weeks. I want to say like a few weeks. But that still doesn't mean that I don't get access to ftnfantasy.com, because I do. Most of it is behind a paywall for a reason. These are experts that put this information out there that is incredible to have, not just draft prep, but in season. The splits tool, Jeff Ratcliffe stuff is all on there. The projection, sortable, it is so fun. And if you use, again, my promo code SML, like Stepmom Lauren, you get 20% off any package that's on there. Okay, I did it. So remember, when in doubt, promo code SML. So if you sign up for all those, go to my website, share like this. Your name gets entered in to win the signed DeAndre Swift mini helmet. And we're ready to go. So for those of you who don't know, we went to the our Kings Classic. Well, I did have to go to that. But the Expo in Canton, where I finally got to meet the reasonable Kevin Tompkins. I almost called you reasonable Tompkins. That could work, right?
Yeah, either way. Yeah, you're two-thirds away there. You're good.
Reasonable KT over there. I got to meet you in person, which was super duper fun. We had some fun tweeting back and forth at each other with some really horrible pictures that were taken of me.
We became memes at that.
We did. I mean, your tender look to Mauricio was amazing. Mine, like absolute resting bitch face, was fantastic. Multiple times I had that. And someone was like, is someone trying to blackmail you with all these pictures? And I was like, I just got to own it. This is the many awful faces of Lauren. So how did you have fun at the expo? Like what's your story?
Yeah, Expo was fantastic. I had an Airbnb with Britt and Andrew Cooper and Britt's husband. It was a lot of fun. It was the Lightning House, right next to a Waffle House and an
Now, which
Arby's.
one was throwing tacos at Brit? Was that Chris, her
That
husband?
was Coop.
Oh, that was Coop. Okay.
Yeah, we actually had our Uber driver. Coop made him go through the Taco Bell drive-through before he
Right
dropped
on.
us off, and he was cool. Has like no problem doing it, and gave him a pretty sizable tip. We were
Good for you.
a few sheets to the wind at that point, but
Who wasn't?
yeah, exactly. That's kind of almost a rite of passage, but yeah. So yeah, I remember Brett being on the couch and he just took a soft taco, just hit her right in the face.
This is what
So
we do at expos, my
yes,
friends and
yeah.
family,
When we're
whoever's
not arguing
watching.
about player takes, we're throwing food at people. I mean, it's a regular Animal House.
It was fun. And then Britt Flynn and I, we trudged up to the press box on Saturday to do the Kings Classic. And we're like, why did we agree to do this? We were both terrified and hungover, but ended up being a ton of fun. I got to draft next to Michael Fabiano and Bob Harris, of whom I sniped most of his picks. So became good friends with people that I finally got to meet IRL. I'm not sure if people say that anymore, but I am.
They do now.
So they do now. And
We'll
they will continue to bringing it back, damn it. I'm doing it. So, Kevin, how many drafts have you been in so far?
It's probably easier to ask me how many drafts have I not been in.
How many drafts have you not been in?
Not many. Underdog at least 200.
Oh, best ball?
Probably 225. Yeah, mostly doing best ball. I tried to curb on like managed leagues just because I didn't want to be setting 30 lineups, right at an hour before lock. It's the worst.
It's
So
horrible.
obviously the charity stuff I love to do and have no problem doing it. And those are the lineups I will set, without an issue. A lot of the home leagues and a lot of the other stuff I kind of tried to cut down and mainly stick to best ball. And try to focus on that. But yeah, this is, I mean, it feels like the Super Bowl just ended and now it's the end of August.
I know. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
Like it felt like hurry up and wait. And now it's like, oh my God, it's upon us. So with all of your best ball knowledge, why don't you drop a few dimes for everyone who maybe hasn't done a best ball before, or maybe just needs, a little bit of guidance from one of the best ball champs we have out there. Remember, underdogfantasy.com. They have an amazing best ball formats. They have tournaments. They have all sorts of stuff you get into. You start drafting right away. It is so cool. They don't have a salary cap. You literally draft. It is super fun. Use the promo code SML to get your first deposit matched up to $100. But for everyone who is either already signed up or about to sign up, drop some knowledge and some knowledge dimes about the best way to do best ball drafts.
Well, I'll just start with, if you're,
I'm totally going off script. I just interrupted you too, but I'm like, here's what we're going to talk about. And so far I haven't talked about anything that I told you we were going to do. My bad.
I love
Continue.
it. I love it. No, as far as like, back in the day, we used to do like the Yahoo mock drafts and stuff like that. And, you'd always have some yokel taking Tim Tebow 101 and leaving and laughing and doing all that. For me, doing best, even like the $3 best ball drafts, that's a great way to get in tune with who's being drafted where. And you have a little bit of skin in the game. So people are going to be staying in the drafts. People are just going to be clicking and leaving. Like that's my way of like staying up to date with the ADP and stuff like that. I mean, I know ADP is going to be different from like best ball leagues too, like a managed league, like your home league, but it's a good way to kind of get introduced into, okay, well, Isaiah Pacheco apparently is now a 9th round pick this year. I hadn't thought this guy was, a roofer from Secaucus, and now he's, it is what it is, but no, it's a good way to kind of get introduced into the ADP. And then, as far as best ball, obviously you're not managing a roster throughout. Your team is your team. They're doing their best ball mania, which is $25 entry, but a lot of $2 million up top, $1 million for the regular season winner, $1 million for the second place as well in the playoffs. So if you want to win money, that's where you're going to do it. But there's also, you could do private leagues too, 12-man team, but 10 person, 6 person, 14 person. It's great. So as far as like actual best ball strategies, I mean, best ball is fantastic.
So
Yeah,
like who like what are some players that you're like, I have to have him in best ball?
so like the better and best ball players, like I'm looking at players because I typically don't really draft a lot of high end running backs. If you do know me, so I really love the rookie tier of running backs. As far as like the my favorite is probably Rashad White for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Tom Brady has already called him the best receiving running back that he'll play
Ooh.
with, and that's obviously including a guy like James White. But as far as his receiving chops, I mean, in college he had a 2.46 yards per route run in his career. That is the third highest mark of any running back in the last 6 draft classes.
It's
That
unbelievable.
is just underneath Christian McCaffrey and Kenyon
Who's
Drake.
okay,
Yeah,
he's
he's
okay.
okay. I've heard of him.
Mm. I mean, have we? He hasn't even played a full season in like the last 2 years. But just for everyone who doesn't know what best ball is, too, because I completely glossed over that. For anyone new to it, Underdog Fantasy promo code SML. So basically, what it is you draft this team, and you're really going for those high scorers that you don't manage your team. So that's what Kevin was saying, an
Yep.
unmanaged team. Because once you draft, you're done. You're done for the entire season. So what Underdog and these other platforms do is they take the best scoring out of everyone on your team. There's no bench, there's no starters. Everyone scores points. And they take those best points and there you go. Hence best ball. So just letting anyone know who hadn't heard of it before, because I actually
So
do know
easy,
several
so
people.
easy. Even I can do it.
I know. So I know a lot of people who do redraft fantasy who had never heard of best ball before. So again, that is promo code SML. Head on over to underdogfantasy.com, sign up. It's a ton of fun. In-season stuff is great. And just one quick more tidbit I'll throw out there for anyone who hasn't tried Underdog yet. So when you actually, let's say, have like a 10-person, 12-person league, like your redraft league, right, that you can set up your own like weekly contest with your friends. Throw $10 in there and you guys are drafting. So if you draft Jonathan Taylor, guess who else is not getting Jonathan Taylor? No one. You're the only one that has him. So you're not playing against everybody else who has a similar lineup and just hoping that the deep sleeper that no one's ever heard of scores a touchdown. That's really hard to do. No salary cap. You draft. It's a ton of fun. Go check it out. But let's go ahead and move away from best ball. Let's talk about our redraft. Not dynasty, whatever. Just your classic redraft, usually 10 to 12 team, PPR, half PPR. If you play standard, stop. Get out of the Stone Age. I'm just kidding. I'm not though. Like, just don't. Like, have some skin in the game here when it comes to people catching passes. So, for me, I've usually find myself doing more of a roster construction because I try to be as fluid as possible instead of like getting married to one particular strategy, if you will. What do you find yourself doing when you're doing these drafts?
I'm it all is based on what your settings are. So how many
Be like
flexes you
water.
have. Yeah. So you want to, yeah, exactly. Be fluid.
Mm-hmm.
But if the more flexes, I'm trying to win the flex. I am not trying to fill out every single one of my starters before,
Mm-hmm.
going to my bench. Like I am,
That's important
it's,
because it's difficult. Even I'm guilty of it. Even I've been doing this for a long time, and I even find myself reminding myself I don't need to have my starters immediate. Some of them, yes, obviously, but you don't have to do that because there's value later on in the drafts. Continue.
right. Exactly.
I'm so
So, I
bossy.
mean, I know it's as easy as that. Why isn't everybody winning money? Um, but as far as like I typically do, I'm a noted ageist. I love drafting wide
You are an
receivers, and
ageist.
I very much am. I love drafting the younger guys. Especially wide receivers. So I'm trying to find the breakouts. I'm trying to hit the breakouts before the breakout. So
Mm-hmm.
we've been waiting on a guy like DJ Moore seemingly forever. Now he's going to play with the best quarterback he's ever played with in Baker Mayfield. I feel like we're going to keep saying that until Carolina just keeps shuffling quarterbacks in and out. And maybe we'll find one. But guys like that you can find in the second, third, fourth round: T. Higgins, DJ Moore, Rashad Bateman, Gabriel Davis, guys like that. I'm trying to fill my my wide receivers and my flexes with a bunch of those guys, and going over how many spots I need. So if there's 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes, I'm not drafting just 5 wide receivers. I'm going to try to draft 6 or 7
Mm-hmm.
because not everybody's going to hit. You have bye weeks as well. You have injuries. That chaos of the NFL season is very real. So you got to be able to, when these bye weeks hit, being able to have guys like that you could plug in that are, maybe you find a Sky Moore that breaks out. Maybe you find a Traylon Burks or a Garrett Wilson. When those bye weeks happen, I don't want to be plugging in, Olamide Zacchaeus. I don't want to be plugging in,
But
you
he's so
know,
good.
he is the first team all name team for sure. Like as far
Sure.
as like one of the best names in football, and I don't know if I butchered that or whatnot.
I think you nailed it.
Their talent rep can DM me later, but
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, exactly. But
So real
yeah,
quick, I'm gonna interrupt you real quick. For anyone who's watching on Twitter right now, if you could do me a favor and could you like post something on Twitter, like, as if you're replying or asking me a question, because I don't think StreamYard is like letting people talk to me on Twitter. That was it. I'm just trying to work out some kinks here on the broadcast. So sorry about that. But I see we do have some comments from YouTube and from Facebook. So if anyone's watching on Twitter, just post a comment real quick so that I know that it's working. And then I can fix it later if it's not.
I will say that Twitter has had issues with StreamYard, and I've reached out to StreamYard. They say it's a Twitter issue,
Ugh,
and it's been going for a while now, because
wonderful.
I know we've kind of transitioned over to YouTube, like on our pod,
Mm-hmm.
for like interaction and stuff like that. So I know you can view it on Twitter, but
Gotcha. Okay. Well, then
yeah.
now I know. Now I know. Darn it. So
Oh
yeah,
well.
Fantasy's fan. Oh hey, how are you? So
Hey
he says I
Sven.
think they got cut out of Twitter. Anyway, that stinks. Oh well, but at least you're watching it on Twitter. So if you want to comment, head on over to YouTube, Stepmom Lauren's YouTube channel, so everybody knows. Yes, that is there. And now that I've completely sabotaged whatever it is that you were trying to say, um, shall we continue? So in redraft, Kevin, who are some players that you are like dead set on targeting? Like you, and even if you miss out on them, like so what? But even in that same tier, like who are those guys who really stand out to you?
Well, I mean, he's going in the middle of the third round, so he's a guy that I am
If
trying
you
to
say
target.
Javonte Williams, I'm gonna have to argue with you and Howard
But he's a
again.
running back.
Oh, that's right. You don't like running backs. I forgot.
No, that's a misconception. I like running backs. I just like them at a discount. I probably
No, I
won't be
understand.
taking them at cost. Like the only one I'll take over like ADP is like DeAndre Swift. That's like the one guy I will
Hmm.
definitely take.
Like a signed DeAndre Swift mini helmet.
Oh, other way. Wow.
Yep. Subscribe, stepmomlauren.com. Like this video, retweet, sign up for Underdog. Continue.
Do the thing. Yeah, DJ Moore is one of my favorite wide receivers. I've
Love
been
it.
pounding that drum for the last 2 years. I mean, last year, the first 4 games, he was averaging like 11 targets per game, 99 yards receiving, 22 and a half fantasy points per game. Like he was on pace to smash when Sam Darnold had his 4 weeks of like, just insane production. And then Sam Darnold remembered he was Sam Darnold, and then everything else went to crap. But now Baker Mayfield, I mean, DJ Moore's quarterbacks have been what? Cam Newton, Kyle Allen, Will Greer, Teddy Bridgewater, Darnold. Like he's been so consistent with yardage and targets and everything, just no touchdowns. Now Christian McCaffrey is back, hopefully. DJ Moore
We
should.
both at the same time. We're like,
I mean, we're just manifested in the universe. Like we need something here to kind of cement that in. But yeah, Christian McCaffrey's best year was with DJ Moore. I mean, they're harmonious together. They're a good core.
2019, I believe, right?
Yes, yep, that was the 29.5 point McCaffrey blow up season.
Yep.
That just broke fantasy, but
It did.
it really did.
And
I mean,
broke hearts the next year when he got hurt. And then the year after that when he got hurt again.
and then we're still taking him at 102, and that's the thing.
Mhm.
We can't quit Christian McCaffrey, but we know
Can't
that
do
the
it.
upside is there. But yeah,
It
DJ,
doesn't hurt that he's handsome. I mean,
yeah, he's a good looking cat. I'll admit that.
you know.
I mean, I'm man enough to admit that, but
Hey, there you go.
yeah, DJ Moore. I mean, he's just never gotten the touchdowns. What if he does get the touchdowns? I mean, he's already been a wide receiver too for most of his career. If he gets a few more touchdowns and gets a little bit more luck, I mean, he's going to be a wide receiver 1, and then if he just builds on top of that, if he can get like 90, 1,200 and 7-8 touchdowns, like he's going to be a fringe first round, second round pick next year.
So I have a quick question for you. Going back to what we were talking about with the running back situation. For anyone who hasn't heard the term zero RB, or they've heard of it but they're really not quite sure exactly what it is, it basically means that you punt the running back position all the way to the 6th round or later. So you are not taking any running back until the 6th round or later is the true zero RB truther. Where do you kind of fall within the 0 RB category? Because it kind of sounds like you're leaning that way.
Oh, I'll push it. I will push it a lot later.
It takes a
I'll
lot
put
of guts to do it, though, I gotta say.
It does, but it's people think that, "Oh, you're not drafting running backs, like, you're just drafting wide receivers and all." I mean, you have to know depth charts. You have to know all
Mhm.
of these, like, backup running backs and stuff like that. You have to be really in tune with who is the next guy up, who is, the next guy in camp that's gonna, like the Jalen Warrens of the world for Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
or like knowing that, okay, Kenny Drake just got cut. Here comes Amir Abdullah now as a value, in the later rounds.
So
So
for you at the 101, would you still take Jonathan Taylor?
I'm taking McCaffrey.
Okay. Well, you know
I'm
what
ta
I mean. You're not just
Yeah,
gonna
yeah, I'm
take a
taking a
wide
running back.
receiver. Okay, cool. So, just to piggyback off of that, one of the other topics for our show today is players to target. So you're looking at DJ Moore. But just to piggyback off of pushing the RB and pushing the RB, I have 3 running backs. It was on a piece that I wrote for the fantasy footballers, and the 3 that really stand out to me that you can get past the 6th round are AJ Dillon. He is creeping up in ADP though, but AJ Dillon, Damian Harris, who I really like, and also Chase Edmonds, who is my favorite. I love those 3. And with the running back by committee that's becoming so popular right now and among, the NFL, for good reason, it keeps their players healthy for an extra extended week and plus the playoffs, and because everybody wants to get in there, they are really getting those RB2s way more involved. So the AJ Dillon one is very spicy because Aaron Jones, well, not really spicy. It's a great take, is what I'm saying. It's
Right.
awesome because Aaron Jones is going to be even more so of a pass catching back for Aaron Rodgers, who is completely bereft of talent besides what Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, maybe Robert Tunyon. I mean, I'm sorry, Dobbs truthers. Like, I'm not buying it at all. So I really like that one.
Throw out the
And
Doves.
yeah, the Doves. And yeah, so in the Chase Edmonds one, I freaking can't with Mike McDaniel. And like I really see him being like a Debo Samuel light or a diet Debo because of just his pass catching capability. And that's exactly what Debo Samuel was. He was a wide receiver, basically turned running back. Well, you already have an amazing pass catching running back in Chase Edmonds. And that's exactly what his role was in Arizona. So I really like that one too. Let me see if I have any wide receivers here. What about the quarterback position? How do you feel? Where do you normally draft a quarterback? What's your play on that?
For quarterbacks, I'm really trying to find like the latest elite quarterback. Like I'm not reaching for the Allens, or like Herbert is like the least rostered like elite quarterback, just because I don't like the pocket of the draft where you have to take Herbert in like the late 3rd, early 4th round,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes into the 5th round. It's just a weird pocket. And then, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, they're all great quarterbacks, but I want like the later, like I'm taking a lot of Joe Burrow. I'll take a lot of Dak Prescott, Trey Lance as well. Like I will take those upside swings on those guys. Russell Wilson, I have no problem with. I mean, even going in later, the last quarterback that I would feel comfortable with starting in like a redraft league would be probably Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr would be like the absolute last guy. And then even then, I'm probably pairing him with an upside guy like a Justin Fields or a Tua or
Mm-hmm.
even a
I
Trevor
like
Lawrence.
Tua. That's a good one.
Yeah, and I really like Trevor Lawrence this year because he didn't just overall become bad. Like he was one of the greatest he's one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time, and then stepped into the Urban Meyer vortex, and now all of a sudden he's a terrible quarterback. Like I don't see that. So and
Yeah.
now there's better weapons there. They went out and spent money in free agency. So I don't buy that at all. And he's going in like what QB 20 range. Like that's just
Yeah, and
I don't buy
especially
it.
when you're passing up because that's a very pricey draft capital. So you're literally missing out on other players at that ADP, like what we're saying, the Josh Allens, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. You're missing out on big, big names when you can
Right.
get other quarterbacks that are going to score just as much, if not more, way, way later. So unless you're in a league like a super flex or something, or if you're in a league where your quarterbacks score astronomically high, like in my home league, you ain't winning if your quarterback ain't scoring 80 points, like
Oh
minimum.
boy.
It's crazy. But I mean, that's just our weird home league that we have. Thank you very much,
Right.
Mike, for being crazy with those rules. But it is a ton of fun. So I'm kind of the same way. Unless I really feel like a keeper league is a little different for me. I don't mind reaching a little bit on that on a quarterback if I have a keeper because I already have, or 2 keepers because I already have like a pretty solid core of what I'm working with, especially if I really want to go for that stack. But Matthew Stafford is one that I really like going late too. Derek Carr. Come on. He's got Devontae
Yeah.
Adams. He's got, Hunter Renfro. Darren Waller's still banged up. Oof, that's a whole nother hot mess of a situation.
That's a hornet's nest.
Oh, it's so gross. So now they're talking about it could possibly be contract related, which is never good, but neither is an injury. This is just a hot mess. But we talked about a guy that you want to target. Who are you just staying away from? Even if it's the perfect ADP or the value is great, but, we always kind of like to, punt the value. But let's just say for argument's sake, who are you like, no, I won't do it.
And it's funny because I'm a Packer fan, and it's Alan Lazard. I am not touching him.
Really?
I am not touching him. I would rather play the Packers wide receiver group with a still cheaper than Lazard Dubs, or even Christian Watson's sinking like a stone in the ocean right now as far as his, perception and draft value. Like, you can get him. The thing about Lazard is that it's very rare that you see a wide receiver begin to earn targets when the guy who earned them the previous year, like Devontae Adams, left. So, and even Lazard has been starting for the last 2 years for Green Bay. He only has 3 games in his career since 2019 of 8+ targets. He's never been a target earner. He has been very touchdown dependent. We saw that last season. I believe it was 34% of his fantasy scoring was via the touchdown. He's a much better real life player than he is a fantasy player as far as the target accumulator, as far as yardage, touchdowns, and everything. He is one of the best blocking wide receivers in football. He is he's a perfect split end to play on the line and be tethered to the line, and to let the flankers and to let the slot guys run around, and let when Aaron Rodgers goes off script and runs around and makes an insane play, it's usually to one of those guys and not Alan Lazard, who's usually he's like the glue guy. Like, you talk about the sixth man, the guy that does all the dirty work. That is Alan Lazard. I just don't see in his profile, like, he's always been like a good, not great wide receiver. He was a UDFA from Iowa State, and earned pretty much everything he's gotten, but I just don't see that type of ceiling to where he's going at like wide receiver 36 right now, or something close to that.
And it's getting higher too. I feel like it keeps creeping up and creeping up. So Fantasy Sven has a question for us. He said, do you think that Goff has a chance of finishing as a top 15 quarterback? Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions, everyone.
Yeah, I think, that quarterback tier after Carr and Cousins, it's very flat, where I could see even those guys, look at Jared Goff, like if, Trevor Lawrence, Matt Ryan, I could see a lot of those guys flirting with, the top 15, and Goff's no exception. They've added a lot of weapons. Now they have Hawkinson, Swift, DJ Chark, if he can find something in there, in his 1-year contract, Jameson Williams, Monterey St. Brown, certainly. They have a lot of weapons there. And if Detroit's, they're a trendy offense and they're a trendy team, they should be passing a little bit more. If they're going to be in games, they're going to be passing the ball quite a bit. And that's going to it's going to hinge obviously on Goff being able to get the balls out to the guys, but it's not going to be because of the weapons. Like, it's going to be because of Goff.
Yeah. And actually, Sven brought up a really good point here. Let me put this up, Sven. By the way, a great follow. By the way, is Fantasy Sven. Wonderful dude. We got to hang out with him. Oh my God, we had so much fun. My husband and I just had a blast with Sven. He was so much fun. Everyone was really great. But Sven was one of those that it's like, oh, I'm so glad I got to meet you in person. He also has a cooking show. So make sure you check that out. And I am really excited. And no, I haven't made your sauce yet. Don't kill me. Sorry. I will. I promise. I'm going to make it one day for football. I promise. I might need the recipe again, though. Love you. Sorry. Okay. So the one guy that I am avoiding at all costs, I don't care. I don't care what his value is. I'm done. And I'm done hearing about him, and I can't handle it anymore. It's Devin Singletary. I can't. No, he's not going to finish as an RB1. Okay, he's not going to do it. His best career, now watch him finish as like the RB2 of the season, and I just completely shot myself in the foot. But his best season was last year. I completely understand that. But he finished as an RB20 in half PPR scoring. The numbers are so inflated from the last 4 weeks of the season. Like, that's it. The rest of it before, the head coaches were mad. He was mad. Everyone was mad. The run game was terrible. Josh Allen literally finished just behind him in rushing touchdowns and attempts. That's insane. I think we've seen the ceiling from Devin Singletary, and he is not going to be better than an RB2. In fact, his best career year, low end RB2. So even if he does a little bit better, it's not going to be this, he is the RB2 or he's the RB5 on the season. There's no pathway for that, because if they were going to be just giving him this massive amount of volume, they wouldn't have spent second round draft capital to get James Cook. Just period, the end. They already have other bodies out there that can help out, like Zach Moss, so they can still do a committee, but they added even more of a committee, and not just any old Yahoo, James Cook, second round draft capital. I have a feeling that we've already seen Devin Singletary's ceiling, and people are going to be very disappointed. Yeah, granted, he's going in like the 8th round. I don't care. I want nothing to do with it, because you're never going to know which game it's going to be, that he gets the rushing touchdown, that James Cook gets the rushing touchdown, that Josh Allen gets the rushing touchdown. Like, no, just because they used him a ton in the postseason means nothing for the regular season. There was my diatribe. Thank you, everyone, listening.
I mean, I get it completely. He is one of those like better and best ball types. It's gonna be finding the week where you hit on the Devin Singletary, week to where he scores a touchdoun. Like
it's like so off brand for me to take him anywhere. So even if I was looking at him in best ball, I just wouldn't.
Right. You're just trained not to do it.
Can't do
it. But like finding the week where you have to put him in your lineup and set him in your lineup and hoping that's the week he scores. Like, that's nothing that I really want to tangle with. But I mean, I understand he has some ceiling, but and it's an ambiguous backfield. I mean, we don't know.
I told you Sven hated me. Look. Ambiguous backfield. Very ambiguous.
You said he was the cook. You're cooking up some trouble with him now, but hey now.
Dad joke.
But yeah, I mean, ambiguous backfield. Those are the backfields that you want to take advantage of as far as ADP. But
I'll take James Cook.
Exactly. And we know Buffalo's going to be scoring a lot. They're going to be living in the red zone, and then you also have to deal with Josh Allen on the ground too. So
yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Now, before we let you go, because we have, can you believe it? It's already been 30 minutes. That flew. Wow. That flew by. So I'm going to have you back on the show again, Kevin, because I think this chemistry is fantastic. So we need to do this again. But real quick, before I sign off and, you can tell your spiel and I'm going to give my promo spiels again. Where are you ranking David Montgomery from the Bears? Gemma would like to know.
Not
I think that said it all right there. Ooh.
Yeah, I have him behind like Chase Edmonds. I have him behind Tony Pollard. I have him over CEH. I like him over CEH if that means anything.
I like Devin Singletary over CEH. That says nothing.
I think I have Devin Singletary over David Montgomery too. Ooh. I just the Chicago Bears offense is. If Justin Fields doesn't show anything or show any kind of improvement in year 2, if that offense with Luke Getsy now as the offensive coordinator doesn't tailor an offense to Justin Fields' strength like the Bears regime last year refused to do, that offense is going to be the stone worst in the NFL. I mean, you're looking at Darnell Mooney and just a bunch of Jags.
So bad.
It's going to be terrible, and it's
God,
not
so
going to be.
Bad.
Mooney might.
That.
Yeah, and Mooney might get there, and that's fine. Like, I don't particularly mind drafting
literally,
him.
What are defenses going to do to shut down the Bears? Shut down Darnell Mooney. That's all you have to do.
Pretty much.
And maybe throw a person at David Montgomery. I mean, that's about it.
Right. And then maybe, I mean, there are scenarios where like David Montgomery could be like the second leading, target getter in that offense over Cole Kmet. I mean, that's not unrealistic, but right. I just don't know if I see. And then Luke Getsy also coming from Green Bay, where they used multiple running backs. So I like Khalil Herbert a lot this year. I also like, as a deep guy, someone gets hurt, Treston Ebner as well. So there's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of personnel this year because Chicago has to try to find some kind of identity on offense. And I think they're going to be cycling through a lot of guys because they have like guys up top. They have the Kmet. They have that tight end that they can build around. They have Mooney. They have, they don't know what they want to do with Montgomery, I guess. And they still have Herbert, I guess. But they're going to be trying to find guys that they can keep around for the future once they cycle through and churn their depth. So I feel like they're going to be mixing and matching a lot of guys. And I don't like that for Montgomery, who is also going to be their personal punt protector if he's playing on special teams. So, I mean, if you're getting special teams points, David Montgomery to the moon, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. All right, everybody. And yes, Fantasy Sven, Of course, you're going to be coming on my show. Don't even worry about that. I will send you an invite every Friday, my friend. Of course. But Kevin, before we sign off, tell everyone again where they can find you.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me on,
Oh
Lauren.
my
This is
God, thank you for
awesome, and
coming.
at any time, the DMs, of course, are always open. Anytime you want me, I am here at your beck and call.
Woohoo!
You can
I would
find
like
me
hearing
at
that.
K. You can find me on Twitter at KTompkinsII. You can find me at Fantasy Alarm as well, doing content there, as well as Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life newsletter and Lightning Round. YouTube.com/Lightning Round with Britt Flynn and Andrew Cooper every Wednesday night.
Love it. And you guys can find me at Stepmom Lauren on social media, stepmomlauren.com. Go ahead and subscribe to my website if you haven't already done so to get your name into the hat for the signed DeAndre Swift mini helmet. If you've already done that, don't worry. Sign up at underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code SML to get your first deposit matched up to $100. So that's an extra $100, which is free money. And I like free money. Don't know about y'all. And if you want to get 20% off any package at FTN, again, use that promo code SML, 20% off any package. Pretty amazing content that we've got going out here. Also, on my newsletter that will be going out right after this video, there is a link to the Ultimate Draft Kit from the Fantasy Footballers, one of the best tools that I use for every single draft that I am in. And I'm not kidding. And they also have a DFS pass there too. There's 2 different packages that you can get. So that link will be going out in my email. Kevin, thank you so much again for joining me. This has been an absolute blast. Everyone, enjoy your Fridays and Fridays. Well, of course, enjoy your Fridays. Enjoy this Friday. And I'll see you next Friday. It's just a whole conglomeration of Fridays. Bye, everyone. Be safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which is a